Nothing is more beautiful than late spring, early summer in the French countryside, especially here in the Loire Valley.
Welcome back everyone. It's a magnificent spring day and we are back to work at the Chateau. We have so many exciting things coming up to show you, the massive overhaul of the entrance hall and lots of other special projects. The property just keeps getting better and better.
And this is a very exciting garden episode. Just a couple of weeks ago, Simon and I walked around and we filmed showing you what all of our plans are for this garden. And then Isabella and I went to the garden center, bought some plants. And now just 2 weeks later, I can show you everything that's happened. So this is a little bit of a transformation episode. Now what we're going to be doing is talking you through all of our big upcoming plans for the garden, but also just showing you what you can accomplish with just a few plants. Now another thing is that behind me is the door. This used to be the back door to the Chateau, but now it's our front door because the front door used to be the entrance to the orangery. Now you guys might remember a few years ago we planted all of these roses along the outside of the Chateau, and I think you can get a sense that they are absolutely magnificent. So first of all, we're going to paint this door. Now, what color do you think we should paint it? We're deliberating between ivory, shades of pale blue, shades of pale green, or we can leave it wood, just refinish the wood. But we'd love to know what you guys think about that. This is a dream come true for me. A doorway dripping with roses, and soon, hopefully, they're going to come all the way out to the end. Aren't they beautiful? All of these roses are the variety called Pierre de Ronsard. We get them from a company called Maisons Richardier, which is where we get most of our roses. And even though they are actually climbing roses, we planted them like a giant hedge. And as you can see, they're coming along really nicely. Now in another week or so, they're going to be even more spectacular. Look at that, isn't that amazing? It brings me so much joy. And then down here, let's walk down and look at my other favorite variety of rose. Now this rose is also a really big bloomer and it's called Botticelli. Now in addition to the beautiful name, look, it's just the loveliest salmon pink rose. It's a really, really bushy aspect and it flowers all summer. So it doesn't smell as nice as some of the other roses, but it's just absolutely gorgeous. Now over here, remember Isabella buying her begonias? Look at them.
But the sun is out. In today's episode, we're going to share with you our big plans for this year in the garden, and we'd love to get your thoughts and ideas. We have several parts to our property, including the area where I'm standing, and our potager, our kitchen garden, and we've been a bit stuck for a while about how to proceed. We finally have some exciting ideas and we can't wait to share them with you. Now, on to garden plans. Let's start with this area. Now, you might be wondering what's going on with the water feature stag right here behind me. So here I am in our water feature. Originally, this was designed and filled with water as a bassin. The problem we have with the bassin though is that the water is stagnant and it doesn't move around. And during the year, that attracts a lot of animals like frogs and toads, but also we get a lot of leaves dropping in and essentially the water just becomes more and more disgusting. So what we're going to do now with this area is we're going to move that water around by putting a fountain in. Okay, and we've got a good idea for incorporating our stag. The stag has a lot of history with it, and we'll tell you all about that in a later episode. But we're going to bring our stag into the picture, really make a feature of it with the fountain, and that will kind of be the centerpiece of our landscaping for this new garden that we're building. And as you can see, these tiles are not in their best shape. We've got quite a few broken tiles, and the glue that was holding them on originally is starting to weaken and they're falling off. So we have a question here about whether or not we even keep these tiles or whether we do something else entirely different. It's a great opportunity to reimagine and reinvent this water feature. Now the next challenge is what to do with this part of the garden. It's a mixture of grass and weed. It's not very good quality, and the problem is that this garden is not symmetrical, so it doesn't lend itself to being formalized particularly well. So we've got a few things to think about. One is, what are we going to do with the shape? Are we going to change the shape and make it more formal and symmetrical? I know Vivian would prefer that.
I really would.
Yeah, I know.
Love it to be more symmetrical.
And the second thing is, we've got to think about what landscaping we're going to do. So what would be hard landscaping? In other words, terraces, terracing, formal flower beds, but bordered properly with cement or concrete or tile, something like that. And also, what planting are we going to do? So all of those ideas and elements are in the mix, and we're not quite sure how to do it yet. So we're open to ideas. Anything that you have that you'd like to share with us from your experiences, please go ahead and do that. You know, here the plants, if they're out in this part of the garden, will have exposure to the sun early in the morning right through until about 4 or 5 o'clock at night, and the sun moves from that direction and comes over this direction to the other side of the chateau. But here in the center, there's sun on the garden for pretty much all the day. So lots to think about. We'd love to hear your comments. Please make them in the comment section. Now, one of the other things we have to think about is this terrace. It's a wooden deck terrace. It's very good. It's very well made. But Vivian's been thinking about putting a pergola here. So I'd like to hear what your ideas are about that. Bear in mind, it's right on top of the pool. Okay, so we have our pool cover or our pool building right there, and the terrace next to it. Any pergola that goes in would have to be thoughtfully created.
Yeah, we're both torn on this one, aren't we, really, sweetie? Because I think it'd be beautiful to have like wisteria and a covered area. And also, even though I think that the pool space has been really, really well executed, you know, especially to be complementary to the chateau, I think that something a little greener would also be lovely. So a bit torn on that one.
Now don't forget, if you want to follow our progress this summer in the garden, like and subscribe to our channel. I think some of you also said that you had been disconnected somehow, or you'd lost your check, and make sure you are subscribed because you might not be. Anyway, it helps our channel a huge amount. Thank you so much. Now, this is one of our doggies, Bowie, one of his favorite little spots. It's a secret path that goes down around the back of all these bushes and trees and so on here, and it separates that side of the house from a garden over here where we've got the fire pit and the barbecue area. So there's this walk-through area, which is actually not small. It's quite a lot here. There's a way that we could do something with this, create beds, create an area of interest. It's nice and shady because of the trees. There's a really ugly old tree house, which I think the previous owners put in there for the grandkids.
You're not hoping for some grandkids, really?
No, I think we've passed. Well, am I hoping for grandkids? I might, but I think that's a hazard at the moment. So, you know.
Do you think I was offering to have more children?
No, I was going to say, hang on a minute. I was like, hang on a minute, grandkid. Wait a minute, she said grandkids, not kids. So.
Exactly. Yes, Mike.
So
You're safe.
Yeah,
I'm thinking weekends and holidays.
I was like, no, I thought we'd finished that. So anyway, tidy up these trees and make them so that you can look after them properly. Get in here and manage them. I mean, these are all just weeds, these things, they just all be cut down and plant with some nice bushes. Even if you went with things like azaleas or things like that.
It's a garden episode, but one of the ways that I'm going to be able to help fund all of these beautiful changes that we're planning in the garden is by selling antique and vintage jewelry. And it is time for Jewelry of the Week. This week we have some very, very beautiful special pieces. And some of them are even inspired by the garden. We're starting with this extraordinary and extremely rare Wedgwood bracelet featuring 12 exquisite cameo charms of garden flowers, including the rose, daisy, iris, lily, calla lily, hydrangea, carnation, chrysanthemum, morning glory, tulip, thistle, and lily of the valley, each symbolizing sentiments of love, devotion, purity, remembrance, and grace in beautiful sterling silver settings. But I have a little confession. I bought this planning to remove each pendant and create several sets of earrings and necklaces, but I just couldn't bring myself to break it apart. It even comes in its original box, so I really hope this goes to a good home. Now next we have this glorious guilloche enamel pendant from the Art Nouveau era, featuring beautifully hand-painted roses against a sky blue background and the typically Art Nouveau stylized flowing forms, so reminiscent of that era. Now, no garden is complete without birds and their beautiful songs, and here we have an unusual and gloriously hand-painted brooch featuring one of my favorite birds, the goldfinch. Now, I really wish I had painted this myself, but it was created many decades ago and mysteriously signed by the artist. Next, I cannot keep my little furry scamp out of the garden, and he loves to be with me everywhere. But here we have another little adorable dog in the form of a brooch from the 1950s who is ready to play and be your best friend. And finally, do you remember when I found this extraordinarily incredible demi-parure in Florence when I was out shopping with Terry? I thought I had died and gone to heaven, as it is actually the most incredible signed set dating from the Alfred Philippe era of Crown Trifari. Once he left Van Cleef et Arpels, Crown Trifari, great maker of the most beautiful pieces of costume jewelry from the 1950s. These pieces are extremely rare and in nearly perfect condition. The perfect set to wear to your next garden party or chateau ball.
Another area that we have to do something about is this house behind me. It's an outbuilding and it's quite sizable. Vivian thought about turning it into a holiday cottage, but that's going to require an awful amount of work because there's no sewage, there's no water, there's no electricity to speak of. Some of the walls need to be redone, the roof needs some work. So there's a lot to do here to turn that into something that's habitable. At the moment, it's serving as my workshop, which I'm really using a lot. So if we did change it, then we'd have to find somewhere for a new workshop. And also it's used for a number of storage areas in here, which are pretty handy at the moment. Whatever we do with this house, it has to be more colourful.
And even if it were just beautiful on the outside, we need to think of ways to make it prettier on the outside. It's painted 3 different colors. It's got a couple of bits of, of plank board plopped on the outside. I just think we could make it so much more attractive. And I'm thinking, could it be with could we do something interesting with the 3D printer? Could we do something interesting with the laser cutter? Could we do something interesting with paint effects, colors?
It needs some TLC. It needs some tender loving care to bring it up to a standard that's acceptable for where it is. Okay, well, this is a project. We've got a lot of things to think about, but definitely this needs a makeover.
All right, let's go. So what is the secret to a happy marriage of nearly 30 years, you might ask? Is it humor? Is it romance? Or is it admiring each other's skin after we've been using the Florio FAQ 202 mask?
Well, obviously the third is the answer.
Yes, last month Simon started using his very own FAQ 202 mask, and now look how he glows. Is it love or is it Foreo?
Obviously, it's Foreo, darling. Honestly, I still can't believe I've got my own mask. That was a great surprise, and I really liked the packaging.
Yeah, the packaging is beautiful. These masks are so comfortable, and we've both been using our masks regularly, starting with the red light peptide serum, which supercharges the effects of the mask. Now, this mask is really lightweight. We only have to wear it 2 or 3 times for around 15 minutes a week, and we can work or relax with it on.
Yes, it's our latest shared couples pampering spa activity.
The mask has 8 different wavelengths to choose from, including NIR, each targeting different concerns from wrinkles to acne.
It's impressive.
As you can see, after a few months, my skin has become smoother, less dull, tighter, and I have to say, even after 1 month, I think it's working for you too. Don't just take our word for it. Check out the clinical results of the benefits of LED therapy. We're looking pretty good, aren't we?
Yep, it's really good, and I don't think I'm one of those guys that's ready to go under the knife. So if this helps my skin, I'm all for it.
Now, Foreo is having an amazing deal right now, so click in the link below and use my code for an extra 30% off almost all products. And the code is stackable on sale items too. Now back to our adventures.
So this is another area here that we have, which we use quite a lot for evening entertainment. So we have dinners out here, we've got the fire pit, we have the barbecue, and in summer it gets used a great deal. But we still need to do some things with it. It's got some lovely shade, it's got a really nice area, it's got a nice formal alleyway and a formal alleyway here. So I think there's a lot we can do to this area. But in springtime, look, it has loads of primroses and it has kind of this nice little woodland feel. And I wonder if we should try and preserve that feel and do some more woodland planting, things like bluebells, crocuses and so on, so that we can kind of use the shade that's provided by the trees here, or whether we just reinvent it entirely and come up with something completely different. Now we have this lovely formal alleyway here, an alley, and it may not look like much at the moment, but all of these trees on either side are espaliered. So it's quite an interesting technique that was used to train the trees in a particular line to give a border to a pathway or an alleyway. And someone's taken a lot of care and time, it wasn't me, to do this. So maybe we keep this, maybe we change it, I don't know. So some of you have wondered about the name of the chateau, and no, it's not Chateau Love. The name of the chateau is Chateau de la Croix Boisée, and that means Chateau of the Wooded Cross. So the Castle of the Wooded Cross comes from this particular old Celtic cross, which is here in the garden. Now I don't know why it's here, but it's an ancient cross, beautifully carved, and this cross predates the chateau by a few hundred years, if not more. Now I wonder what the history of this is. Was it here originally, or was it brought here from somewhere else to be put into the garden? But that's the reason for why the house is named La Croix Boisée. Now come on into the potager.
Our lovely kitchen garden. It's not entirely a jardin flower or walled garden. It is partially walled, but not entirely.
I think it's a great space. I'm just not a fantastic gardener, so unfortunately it doesn't get used in the way that it could be for growing vegetables and so on. I mean, originally, I guess if you had people that could do this for you, this could be an amazing kitchen garden and supply the chateau with all the vegetables and everything else you need. During COVID, we put some vegetable beds in here, and we're just getting those ready for this year. We might do something with them in the garden, but as you can see, they're pretty good, and they've broken down now to where the soil is not too bad. We can put in a little more fertilizer. We have all the fruit trees going around the wall, all the way around. In fact, the garden has fruit trees all the way around, and they've all been pruned recently, so we should get some good crop. We've got wonderful blossom, or we've had wonderful blossom over the last year or two. And my favourite is this really old tree over here. And when I first got here, I wasn't quite sure what fruit it was. But, believe it or not, this tree here is an old quince tree. And the quince on this tree are literally that size.
Yeah, they're enormous.
And they come out this lovely yellow colour. So I've made quince jam, and you know, quince is great with cheese. So I've made quince from this tree that we've had with cheese, and it's wonderful.
And then over here, we have the ancient strawberry patch. And again, during the pandemic, we grew all sorts of sweet peas and things on that little fence. And we have our very own little greenhouse and water supply.
Yep.
So we really do have a lot of opportunities out here to do things.
Well, we just haven't done much in the last year or two to it. We've had too much to do really with the chateau, but you know, there's a lot of, well, and our jobs, there's a lot of potential. You know, even this was all connected, it's all broken apart at the moment, but it won't take much to reconnect that. And this is a pretty good greenhouse. It's just, gardening takes such a lot of effort and time that it's no point even in starting with it unless you've got that time to invest. I hate ivy. It destroys walls. Here we go. Yeah. Now over here, guess what we have? I'm going to give you a clue. This is our asparagus patch.
Is that our first one of the year?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So they're starting to grow. We need to get in and clean this up, and then we can have asparagus for a few weeks. And as you can see right behind me here, our neighbours have some fields where they plant this yellow plant, or yellow flowered plant, which I think is called canola in the United States. Look how brightly coloured it is. It smells lovely, doesn't it? It's just wafting over here. And all our blossom, look, on these trees, it's wonderful. This time of the year is one of the best times of the year for the garden.
And in the spirit of our big springtime garden efforts, we are at our favorite garden center. It is called Esat les Oiseaux, and not only do we love it because it has the best plants, but it also supports the special needs community. And a lot of the people who work here are part of that community, and some of them even live here, and it is really, really a good cause. And I have my best girl here to help me shop, and of course, our little furry friend. Are you ready to buy some plants? I think you are. I must say, Isabella, you look lovely today. I love that you crocheted that top yourself.
Thank you.
And also, you even got the Converses to match. That's great. That is a super outfit.
Thank you.
Okay, what are we going to buy today? You want to start with roses? You want to start with geraniums? You want to start with
Ooh, let's start with roses.
trees? Okay, let's go. They're over here.
Oh, I quite like these little trees too, though. Those are cute.
I wonder what those are. Well, we might want to look at roses, but Bowie has other ideas. Oh, that's his other idea. He said, I've been in the car for far too long. Okay, all better now. And now that we're out here, they do have some lovely trees. We had to cut down a number of trees last year, and I think they need replanting. As tempting as it is to go for the fruit trees, and here we have all of them, apples, pears, peaches, we have a potager full of fruit trees. More fruit than we know what to do with. The magnolia, well, there are the springtime magnolias that lose their leaves, and then there's the magnolia grandiflora that we have on the side with the huge flowers. That one is evergreen, but that's the one that sheds.
I see.
And then we've got conifers down here. I actually love the conifers. This is a love it or hate it kind of plant, but I think they're great.
I think conifers are good to provide grounding and ruggedness. You know, I think it's
And screening, hedging and screening.
Yeah. But to me, I kind of think of it a bit like interior design. If you have too much floral, too much pretty, it can almost seem too sweet and a little bit childish. Whereas if you've got some green, if you've got some big foliage to kind of ground everything, then it brings it down to earth. So you can still have the florals and the beautiful, but it just elevates it, makes it more mature.
I agree, Isabella. But are you telling me my garden is too twee?
I think out of
Barbara Cartland, eat your heart out. So a few roses, not many. Not like we need a lot more roses, but I can never really resist. What are you looking at?
these begonias look really pretty.
I love begonias, and actually those are a pretty good price. We might get a few of those. That might be nice this year. We haven't done begonias in a while, but they do need regular watering. That's the thing.
I see.
They're not quite as hardy as the geraniums, but they're still good, and they do look so beautiful. Would you like some of those begonias? Shall we get some?
I think we should.
Okay, yes. Now, one of the reasons we didn't bring Simon with us is because he hates geraniums.
Oh, that's really pretty.
Yeah, look at these. I love these. They're the kind of, this is what they're going to look like. I think I'm just going to buy all of those. That'd look great in the garden, wouldn't they?
Absolutely.
I wish they had some white ones. If you see any white ones, let me know.
I'll keep an eye out.
You know, Papa can't stand geraniums, which is why Isabella and I are secretly shopping here without him. We always plant some in the window box. He said, I think they're sweet. I know that they're not noble, but I kind of like the common aspect of the geranium, the humble geranium, which works hard all summer long to give us beautiful color.
Do I take the ones with more or less buds?
All of them, just all of them. They're only €1.20 each, so that means they're all for us. And hopefully they're not mixed up with the red ones. That's what happened last year. We thought we'd bought pink ones, and we ended up with dozens of red ones. Bonjour. Well, we have got loads here to choose from. It's gonna be gorgeous. Let's go walk around the garden and see how everything looks. So after having such a great day in the garden, it is a perfect evening to celebrate with a barbecue. And so I am going to make my very favorite salmon dish that goes on the barbecue, the grilled salmon, which is a gravlax recipe, which is made using 2 parts sugar, 1 part salt, and lots and lots and lots of fresh dill. It gets marinated for anything from 1 to 6 hours, and then it goes on the barbecue. We've got these lovely, lovely courgettes. It's the season, finally coming into season, and these get sliced lengthways and again marinated with a little bit of balsamic vinegar and some garlic, lots of chopped garlic, olive oil, also straight on the grill. And we're also going to be grilling the asparagus that I picked just today. So very, very fun. Dressed for dining, but it's just us and it's a garden day. You're working hard listening to the football.
Yeah. Me and Bowie are just kicking back. Sunset's coming in.
Yep.
Got my
You're working hard mowing the lawn.
my worker is working hard over there.
It's fantastic.
This is what the future's going to be like.
You want to know what a robot can't do?
What?
Brush the dog.
Turn it over and get your hairs out a bit, do we? Good boy. Good boy.
Yes, his fur knows it's springtime too, and
Yeah.
it is everywhere.
Comes out every 2 seconds.
Oh, happy boy.
These tufts coming out here. Just brushing him gently. This is
Wow.
all his...
The old fur from winter. He's the silliest dog in the world. Aren't you? You're the silliest dog ever.
His lovely white fur. Lovely.
Well, this is definitely a day worthy of champagne.
Well, it's been a lovely day and it's our first barbecue of the season.
Perfect day in the garden.
Yeah. The last one's finishing up now. Well, now thank you for joining us on our garden tour, and thank you also for all your ideas and comments. We've got a couple of friends who are garden designers, so we're going to ask them to give us an idea of what they think as well. And it all bodes well for a really busy summer. So, lots to think about. We'd love to hear your ideas.
And coming up, it is all happening in the entrance hall. We have a library project we're going to be sharing with you, more gardening, some travel adventures, so many exciting things on the horizon, and we're so happy you're joining us.
And we'll see you in our next episode.
Cheers, sweetheart.
Good health.
Speak, angels sing from above. Everyday words seem to turn into love songs. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will